Hello everybody and welcome to this week's Monday video. Slight delay on getting you the lap guide for this week. I wanted to address something though. So after the stream on Saturday, I got one comment which was saying that I was a dirty driver, dive bombing guys, and my initial reaction was to get upset and try to defend myself. But luckily I resisted the urge to reply and took a look at my Nürburgring video and noticed that absolutely on the first lap, like just around the start, I was definitely taking too big a risk, dive bombing some guys, knocking them wide. And even though in the end the 5-second penalty that I received wasn't my fault, you could argue that leading up to that I should have had a penalty anyway. So this morning I woke up and I decided that I wanted to put in a really slow qualifying time and start at the back of the grid in the daily races, and just try and talk you through my thinking when I'm racing through a pack and trying to overtake people in the sim world, because the etiquette in the sim world is actually quite different to the real world, and it's that balance which I often get wrong. I tend to be over aggressive in the sim world, which results in me sometimes tapping guys off or just wide. And during my karting days I used to be very soft until I raced against a guy called Wesley Orr, his art, besides being unbelievably fast, was putting you in positions which, if analyzed in detail, were not entirely legal, but because you couldn't really notice them, they worked. And in my opinion, it was an essence of his brilliance that he managed to pull off these moves where he put you in a position where you could not fight back because you were suddenly severely offline after a very light touch. And I carried that aggression sort of through all of my karting. Sometimes it did get me into trouble, and these days I use it in GT racing as well. Not to the same level, because in karting if you bump a competitor it's maybe 200 euros, whereas with Ferraris it's like 10,000 euros. So here we are on lap 2. We're doing the sort of raw editing format. I've gone for the third person because you can see more. I'm just going to grab my remote here so we can control this. Here is a move where I thought about going to the inside, but the whole reason I was doing this exercise this morning was to try and improve my fight back through the field. So this isn't the only race I did. I did about, let me just see here, I did 8 races from the back of the grid trying to not take people out. I did have one really bad race. I knocked a TT wide in sector 3, but it's generally these moves here where if we go back, I can see that in front of me there's an opportunity that's forming. The Red Bull car is going to go to the inside the Scirocco, and I see that the Lancer is now offline and sort of off camber. So my initial idea was to dive on the inside and try and present my car there. But a lot of us play on single screens. We don't have a triple screen. Here I pull off the move okay, he sees me. And because we don't have the triple screen, here's another time where I try to go for a move on the inside. In the real world, you may see me there and actually just allow me some space. But it's not as easy to do in the gaming world, and this is where I get myself into trouble. So this is a 50-50 move. He's wide, he's kind of offline. I know from experience that he should be running wide here, or wider than normal, and missing the apex. So I see an opportunity that I want to go for, and it's going to get me into trouble. So luckily this time around I back off just at the right time, go to the inside of the curb, and he gets the space and continues. So now I'm just going to try and follow him. He runs wide again, and now he's in my rear view, and I can see him in my rear view mirror. And this is one of the reasons I play so much online racing, is it allows you to practice racing forward while still looking back with sort of like a third eye. And he goes for the inside here, which I kind of saw. I still tried to close the door. He didn't intentionally bump me there. He was trying to control his car because he was going in hot. Now in some cases a sim racer would say that that was on purpose because you could see that he was turning into you, but often in this game specifically, if you're running wide and you have to catch oversteer, it looks like you turn into the guy. Here's another instance. He was so far offline that I figured I should go to the inside, but I backed out of it. But I can also see ahead that there's a whole bunch of cars fighting, and maybe there's an opportunity later where I don't just get to overtake him, but I get to overtake the other guys as well. So I get a really good run out of the chicane, into his slipstream, now going to the inside. I still have him in my sights. I don't want to outbrake myself and hit the guys in front, and I just want to make sure that the faster Scirocco in a straight line is still to my right. Now this hairpin is slightly off camber on the outside, so you struggle to turn in there, and I managed to get the move done quite cleanly, although you could see that there was 2 instances there where I did almost hit him, and I just managed to control the motion or the movement of the car and avoid impact. So here, now I'm a little bit more aware. This was the second reverse sort of back of the grid race. This TT makes a big mistake, and I wanted to bomb in there. In real life I would have actually gone in there 100% committed and seen if he could have dealt with it. In the real world, because you're dealing with much more expensive machinery, there is a tendency for this increased self-awareness of cars around you and avoidance of damage, so you can use that to your advantage. Here the TT pushes me, but I'm not going to just give him the place, so there is contact there. However, I am on the outside, and this is something that I've realized more and more in sim racing is something that I need to adapt to, and that is when a player is on the outside and he's ahead, the culture is that he still has the corner because he is ahead. Whereas in the real world, it's an unspoken rule that if you're on the outside, if you manage to find yourself on the outside of a move where you've technically opened the door, it's now on you to pull yourself back without crashing. So in that instance there, I found myself in the wrong. So here comes a move where I do a little bit of a dive bomb. I'm braking sort of where I usually brake, but the guys in front are fighting so much that I haven't anticipated how slow they're going to go into the corner. The black TT on the right is going to try for a move. Is going to try and defend himself at the last minute because he thinks that third place is going to run wide. So I'm now braking to the inside. I see that I'm gaining on him going into the corner, and I'm actually on an ideal line. In the real world, it would be a very hard move, but it would almost be fair. I would say it's still 50-50. We're going to bump doors here, and this is definitely a dive bomb because we get to the apex, and he's still technically ahead of me, and I'm now having to use curb, which in this game the curb is fine, but in real life it's not fine. So this move went from anticipating him running wide to suddenly finding myself in a position where I've made a mistake. So I don't get a penalty for this. The guy's getting sandwiched anyway, and maybe if this was British touring cars, I'd be on for a move here, and the commentators would say that I'm, a genius. But in GT racing, that was definitely a little bit too much. My initial intention wasn't to overtake him, but as I saw the move happening in front of me, or the incident, I felt I had to go for the move, and that resulted in me dive bombing this guy. I don't get a penalty for it. I think if anything, I got a green sportsmanship ranking arrow, which kind of shows the inconsistency in this game. But it's moves like that which get me into trouble, and which I think I need to fix if I want to improve as a sim racer. Here, I tried to avoid the move, and I did in the end. I was going to go further inside, but the Alpha just kept drifting towards the inside. So I always have a rule: if there's an incident in front of you, follow the car that is spinning until the last possible moment, and then turn away from them. Because if you try and guess where they're going to land up, often you guess wrong, and they spin into you. So always follow a spinning car until the last possible moment, and then turn away. There is an incident at one of my onboards where I'm racing through the pack at Silverstone. The guys are spinning in front. I follow the cars, move out of the way just at the right time, and I avoided any contact. It's also worth looking at that Silverstone race, which is from the GT Open. where I'm super aggressive with moves. I do bump doors. I come from a long way back, but because in GT racing we kind of expect it from each other, provided we don't take each other out. No one was angry with me at the end of the race. It was more like hard but fair racing. But in sim racing, often those moves end up in someone being bumped wide and the driver on the inside getting into trouble, and I can completely appreciate that. So I think that there are definitely areas which I need to improve upon, but I don't ever see myself winding back my aggression. I just need to modulate that aggression and use it more sparingly, because it is definitely getting me into trouble. The race after this one, going into this quadruple right-hander right here, I tap an Audi slightly wide. He didn't go off, but I did enough to upset him, and going then into this next double left, he tried to take me out, which I anticipated. He hit the wall, and after that a whole bunch of messages ensued on the PlayStation message board, private message board. So I'm super sorry to that guy, because I didn't intend to bump him. He was wide, I had a run on him, and I was too eager. So that eagerness is getting me into trouble. I just wanted to address it here. Hopefully you guys can learn something from it. I'm going to continue starting from the back this week to try and improve that sort of fight back mentality without bumping people off the track. In this specific race I did well. I went from 11th to 2nd. I was happy with it, except that move at the hairpin. I could have done that better. I should have maybe waited longer, but sometimes I can't resist my natural urge to go for a move when I see a gap. So I need to regulate that. But anyway, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed that video, if you found it useful, please like and subscribe. You're welcome to share it on any forum that you want to openly discuss the moves. And tomorrow I will get you the lap guide of Dragon Trail and maybe Tsukuba from Daily Race B and C. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.